Hello everyone, this is Bill with Yarn Crafts for Lefties. Today we're going to be learning how to make the Chinese Waitress Cast On. This particular cast on is part of the short tail family, which simply means that instead of using a long tail as well as the working yarn to create it, we're simply going to be working with the yarn that attaches to the skein of yarn itself. The history on this cast on comes from Cap C's book, Cast On Bind Off, 211 Ways to Begin and End Your Knitting. Cap's friend was at a restaurant in Beijing, China, when she saw a waitress casting on to her knitting needles using this particular cast on. The waitress was kind enough to show Cap's friend how to use this cast on, and it made its way into the book. There is no other name that I can find for it. It is definitely part of the knitted family of cast-ons, meaning when we work it, we're actually going to be putting all of the stitches onto our right-hand needle, as opposed to the long tail cast-ons where the new stitches get put onto our left-hand needle. Now this cast-on can be done using either 2 knitting needles or a knitting needle and a crochet hook. I'm going to be showing you how to do it with the crochet hook. After a lot of experimentation, I find that it is much less fiddly and you get a cleaner result using the crochet hook. When we look at this cast-on, we're able to see that it is a nice, clean, easy set of what appears to be crochet chains when we look at it, but if we stand it up, it appears to be a column of knit stitches. It has this really clean, easy look. Now, this is the right side of the work, but when I turn it, the wrong side looks identical to the right side, which makes this a beautifully reversible cast-on for any piece of work that is reversible. If you're using a pattern where the right and the wrong sides both make an attractive side, so this is a great option for that. The other benefit to this, which a lot of the short tail cast-ons don't have, is this has a lot of stretch and give to it while it returns to its original shape. So this has a lot of versatility to it. In order to get started, we're going to work with a single knitting needle that we'll hold in our right hand, and we're going to put a slip knot on it. Leave a tail that's only long enough for you to weave in at the end. We're not going to need this tail while we're working at all. And the other thing that I love, when we're done, this slip knot is going to go away. So there won't be any knot in our work at all. Now, we're going to pretend that the crochet hook is just a knitting needle. Nothing crazy, nothing difficult about that. And we're only going to be using it for very basic, simple motions. The yarn itself, I have found that it is easier to hold it in the right hand and let the right hand manipulate it. While we're manipulating it, we're just going to be using really big motions. We're not going to be doing anything that requires fine motor skill. So even if you're uncomfortable using your right hand, you'll find that this is actually right hand friendly. In order to get started, we will take our crochet hook and we're going to put it behind our reserve needle, or the needle in our right hand. Then what we will do is, with the yarn in the back of our work, we're going to go behind the crochet hook. And then we're going to wrap clockwise around the knitting needle. Then we're going to wrap clockwise around the crochet hook. So this is what it looks like from the front. And when we tip it over and look, we have a strand going across the crochet hook tip, and then a loop wrapping around the crochet hook. We're then just going to take this and bring it to the front. The hook just helps to catch this and bring it forward without having to worry about it going anywhere. We now have a single loop to the front, and if we look at it, you can see it looks like it wants to twist. So we're going to make that not happen. I'm just going to take the crochet hook out. Notice I'm just gently pinching this loop with my thumb and a finger from my right hand just so it stays in place. Now I'm going to take the crochet hook and I'm going to go from front to back through that loop. That untwists that loop. I'll let the hook stay to the back of the work. I'm not worried that there's a gap here. Remember, this is going to go away, and when that goes away, the gap goes away. Now we finish the setup, and we're able to just work and cast on however many stitches we need to. So we're going to rinse and repeat everything we did with the yarn before. Behind the crochet hook, wrap clockwise around the knitting needle, clockwise around the crochet hook, and I usually just let my tip of my finger from the left hand just hold that in place. Then I'm just going to notice I'm just sliding it down. I'm letting the hook catch the yarn, gently come under and around to the front. This gives me 2 loops now. We want to reduce that. We're going to bring this from 2 loops to 1. I'm just going to take the hook and I'm going to bring it right through that loop. And notice again, the loop looks like it wants to twist, so we're going to undo that. I'm going to gently pinch so that way I don't have to worry about this loop going anywhere. Take that out. Now come from front to back, and we have a nice clean open loop. Bring the hook to the back of the work again, and we're going to repeat the wrapping that we did. Behind the hook, clockwise around the needle, clockwise around the hook. And again, notice I'm not doing anything that's really hard to do with my right hand. I'm going to bring this loop to the front, and once this is in front, I can just go right ahead and bring it through that loop. I don't need to make it 2 motions, but I can if I find it more comfortable. Last thing, take the hook out, then bring it front to back through the loop and just move it to behind the knitting needle. And we repeat that motion. Behind, clockwise wrap, loop to the front, loop through the first loop, remove the hook, put it back in, and repeat. Now, if you're curious about how this works with the knitting needle, this is where I'll just switch over so you can see it. I'm going to take the hook out, and I'll use the knitting needle in its place. I'm going to insert it from front to back and go behind. Same as before, behind, clockwise wrap, hook to the front, and whoops. And if that falls off, we just redo it. Behind, wrap, hook to the front. And a lot of times people will just use their fingers to bring that through. Now I think you can kind of see why I find it a little easier to do this with the crochet hook. Show you one more time with the needles. Notice everything that the left hand needle is doing is what we were doing with the crochet hook. Bring that through, catch, through. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to go back to the hook because personally I find it a lot easier. In and behind. Notice exactly the same things that we were doing before. but the hook just makes it so much easier to hold onto the yarn. Now we're going to say that we've cast on enough stitches. We can see our lovely chain. I'm going to take this, I'm going to remove the hook, I'm going to put it back in for a second so I can make sure that it's not twisted. And for the cleanest line, I find to now bring the yarn to the front. Open your two instruments, bring the yarn to the front as if you were going to make a purl stitch, and then just seat this right onto the needle. Now, once we've reached this, we're ready to actually begin doing whatever knitting we need to do. And remember, whenever we start a new row, all of our stitches are on our right hand needle, and we just begin to work. And whether you're an English or a continental knitter, it doesn't matter. Just work your knit stitches and purl stitches the way you normally would. And once we complete it, we're good to go. Just going to finish this up. And when we get to the end, we will get rid of our slip knot. And because this is all done, I've reached the end. Take that right out. Undo the slip knot. And we have our beautiful cast on. Right side, wrong side, beautifully reversible. So remember, this is a great option if you need a stretchy cast on that you want to be decorative. So remember to like, subscribe, and sign up for alerts, and tell all of your friends about Yarn Crafts for Lefties. This is Bill. Happy knitting.